Hello guys. Welcome to my very first live. Welcome to my very first live. So a matter came up. Let's see if anybody's gonna join this live before we push forward. Let's see if anybody comes up. So we have a serious issue to discuss, and I just couldn't wait to sit down and edit this video. I just felt this is something that we need to talk about together. There's an issue at hand, and I've talked about this before on this channel. I actually have talked about something like this. I presented certain theories or certain possibilities of what could have happened. Um, in case anybody is wondering, we are talking about Davido, his alleged baby mama, and the whole saga, the Anu girl, and everything that is involved. That's what we're talking about today. Because, of course, Davido's father has come out to say, Davido's father came out and said a lot of things. He granted um, an interview, and in that interview, he said a lot of things. And it forces us to come back to a conversation we have actually addressed on this channel before. Even though that video, when we put up that video, a lot of people said a lot of things and they asked a lot of questions. Even though I presented a possibility, people were still asking questions about the DNA test, Anu's mother coming forward, and everything that went down. And people were like, okay, since David said he doesn't know this girl, he doesn't know her from anywhere, he has never seen her, why does he claim to have gone for 5 DNA tests and all of which came back negative? All of them came back negative. I think Davido's father in his interview also clarified that. So welcome the very first person that has joined this live. Welcome. So today I need to reintroduce why we came live today. I didn't want to wait for us to turn this into a video. No, something is actually trending, and is Davido's father's interview that he came forward. And because we have actually looked at some certain possibilities on this channel, made a video about that this Anu of a girl might not actually be Davido's daughter. And in that video, a lot of people made some sense when they said that, okay, why did David go for 5 DNA tests? Why? Why? Because even me, I started asking myself that same question. It's not reasonable that a man who says he hasn't met a woman before would go for a DNA test with her. But based on what Davido's father said today, when he came out on the interview he made, is becoming a little bit obvious. And this whole thing is going to force us back to the conversation we had before about certain possibilities, things that might have occurred, maybe without even the people that were involved are aware of it. So for clarity, Davido's father came out today to present proof of the DNA tests that has been done, and he came clearly and said that they didn't just go to any hospital or any facility. These were facilities that they have used to carry out DNA tests on Imade, on even Ifani, the son that they lost. So if those facilities were able to detect that those children belong to Davido, I don't see why they cannot detect that Anu is Davido's daughter. So he came out, he said a lot of things. And back to the question of why would a man go for a DNA test with a woman he has never met, he answered that question quite frankly. He said he's the one that actually forced David to go for those DNA tests. Even when Davido was saying, I don't know this lady from anywhere, I'm not going. He even tried, talking to the girl, have I met you before? But the father said, I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear anything from you. Let's just go for this DNA test. So they went for the DNA test and it came out negative. Yet they went for many more DNA tests, which he has presented online, and they all came back negative. So now it's bringing us back to that same conversation that we had initially. That video I put up where I said, Anu's mother, maybe, just maybe, something else must have happened, because you can't tell me that a woman is going to, this is the father of my child, this is the father of my child. For 30 years now, she has been saying this is the father of her child. And she go to the US for a DNA test. You can imagine that if she wants to go to the US, it means that somehow she's certain that the father of my child. If she's willing to take the risk, because this is now very public, it's going to be very embarrassing if you go for the DNA test in a place like the US and it comes out negative that this girl is not David's child. It will be very embarrassing. So I know, or let me not say I know, I think she understands the gravity of what is happening. Yet she keeps holding on to the fact that David is the father of her child. This brings us to a very confusing situation, because now that the proof has come, 5 DNA tests from an honorable man like Mr. Adeleke, he has presented the tests that, yes, this girl is not our daughter. We have done this over and over again. I'll gladly welcome her. I have 14 grandchildren. I'll gladly welcome this one. Because when you ask me, I say, why? What's so bad about this girl that they wouldn't want to accept her? She's beautiful. She's intelligent. So why wouldn't they want to accept her? So the man has clearly stated that, yes, we would accept this girl. I'll gladly take her, but she's just not my son's child. But we have a woman that is holding on to this belief that David is the father of her child. Look, if for any reason she doesn't believe, because I'm trying to look at the psychological angle here. If for any reason she has any doubt, I don't think she would have held on to this strong belief for 13 whole years. And what even makes me look at this more critically is when she says, I want us to go to the US for a DNA test. What gives somebody that kind of morale? What gives them that kind of, strength of mind to say things like that? Knowing how public the situation has become and the embarrassment and disgrace that is actually waiting for her at the end if David ends up not being the father. But she still holds on to this belief. That tells us something. That tells us something very serious. Maybe we are just saying maybe because we are not going to come here and defame anybody or say things that we don't know, because everything happened behind closed doors. We were not there. But then these things are pointers to the fact that these people are not obvious liars. If you know a little bit of psychology, you begin to look at these two situations. It's not looking like the two of them are outrightly lying or the two of them are trying to trick anyone or anything like that. It just looks like two people who strongly believe that what they are saying is right. So now that takes us back to that day in the club in Ibadan. You know how club environments can be. And even though Davido was not that popular then, he didn't really stand out then, okay? He was already known, he was getting, his fame and all, but he was still small then. So he didn't have all these maybe bodyguards or all these people that tag along in terms of, showing the world that this is a superstar, this is David. When David wants to go out now, it's not going to be the same as how he went out in maybe whenever the girl was, whenever she said they met. I don't know. That club environment now, David is just an upcoming star. The place is dark. I'm just, bringing out possibilities. So I'm not saying this is actually what happened. Before somebody will hold me responsible for saying what I don't know, but maybe people were high. Davido was not alone. He was with some other people. Because how can a woman be so convinced and hold on to a belief for so long? It doesn't make sense to me. Something must be going on. Something must be going on. I think when that post I saw on Twitter, I actually put it in my video that I made about the same issue. The guy that I talked about, everybody involved and everybody that lady met that day, they should actually carry out a DNA test on them. I think we should actually go that route at this point. Okay, hi, Secrets Behind the Mask. Hi, MD, Khalil. Sorry, I've been just so carried away with what I'm saying that I haven't even looked at those that joined. Hi, guys, welcome to this live. We are actually confronting a very serious issue because I know that when I put up that video and I said that there are so many other possibilities to this case, and people were like, let David post the 20 and the 5 DNA test. Let David post it. You know, his father has come out and he has posted it. He's even saying that the girl that they might consider suing her for what she's doing, because this has been a back and forth continuously for how many years now. So they are considering suing her at this point. And all those people that said the 5 DNA tests, well, the 5 DNA tests are here and they are all negative. So how do I explain what is going on here? That is what I'm trying. I'm just trying, because when somebody said, okay, the girl is lying, I don't think she's lying. That's the mother of Anu. I don't think she's lying straight up, because a lady who is lying, or a person who is lying for 13 years, how can somebody lie for that long? And even let's say somebody can lie for that long, how possible is it for that same person to now ask for a DNA test in the US? Is it not a person who has some level of conviction that, this guy is trying to be tricky, he's really the father of my child? I know there might be some other maybe financial considerations, but before the financial considerations will come, everybody wants to tap out of their delicate wealth, I know. But before that will even come, you have to face that space where you answer the question of, what if he's not the father? And I don't think that Anu's mother would go this length, even if some people will say some people are in the background pushing her. And I want to even mention something that Mr. Deliki said. He said he has even reached out to Anu's mother's sister, and the sister has even tried to speak with Anu's mother to say, please just let all this go. As the man even said, Mr. Deleke said they have been supporting these people financially for years, even without the girl being their daughter. And they have even asked Anu's mother if she wants to go back to school, she can go to Adeleke University. They are willing to give Anu scholarship in Adeleke Secondary School. These are things they are doing for Anu when she's not their daughter. So you can imagine what they will do for her when she's their daughter. The man is willing to claim the child, but the child is just unfortunately not their child. But Anu's mother is convinced. That means that there is something somewhere that is happening that we are not fully aware of. Which brings us back to those possibilities that we evaluated. Maybe. Guys, just let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? That maybe something went down, people were high, there was alcohol, there was, a lot of substance that can alter people's reasoning and minds. And within that time frame, maybe there was a, distortion in memory, or I don't know. Maybe she thought she was with David while she was not with David. Maybe. And then at the end of the day, the DNA tests keep coming negative. And some people claim that the lady, the small girl, Anu, that she looks like an Adeleke. Some people mentioned names, which I'm not going to mention because I don't want to defame anybody. But, some people mentioned the names, they mentioned the person she looks like the most and stuff like that. And they said, okay, we need to go have a DNA test on all these people. I don't know how possible it is, because from the word go, Anu's mother seems to be at the losing end right now. She seems to be at the losing end, because if you come out to say, I don't know the specific person, it's crazy, because you can't get, maybe, depending on how many people were involved that day, you can't get all of them and say, oh, I want all of you to run a DNA test on my daughter. It's crazy now. It doesn't make sense, but that's the most logical thing to do if Anu is to find her father, because I don't want to believe that David is her father anymore, because 5 DNA tests, haba. No how, all those cannot be wrong and they cannot be forged. But this is Nigeria, so anything can be done. But even at that, I think Mr. Adeleke is a very honorable man. He's a very honorable man. I don't think he would go. Why? What's even the motive for the people that are saying, okay, that they can change it, they can do some things in the background? This is Nigeria. So what's the motive? What's the motive? What would be their aim? Because they have a lot of money, and David already is a serial father. He has a lot of kids. So this is not something new. And all these kids, they are coming from so many different women. This is not something new. So why should it be that in this girl's case, her particular case, that they are consistently just rejecting her? It shows somehow that truly, maybe she's not just theirs, and the DNA test already confirms it. So Anu's mother is in a big fix. I wanted to even talk about that girl especially because I went through her Instagram and I saw a lot of things and I felt so bad. One of which was somebody commented on that video that I made and said that Anu seems to be the one at the losing end in this situation. She's going to be the one that is going to feel the heat of all this because as a little girl, just 13 years old, she shouldn't have been exposed to the point where she's the one coming out to demand for a DNA test. I can understand maybe that she was the one that is pressuring, mommy, I need my dad. But when I went through her Instagram, that was where I sat down and I felt, I don't know how I felt because as a mother myself, I said, God, this is bad. I went back to videos where she was still very young, and there was one particular video that made me cringe. In that video, she was like, I'm coming to wish my father, David Adeleke, Daddy, happy birthday. Daddy, where are you? When are you coming to take me? I estimated her age from that video. She was probably not more than 5 from that video that I saw. She was not more than 5 years old. Max 6 years old. So a 6-year-old girl cannot just come out and make this kind of video on her own. No, an adult told her what to say. So I feel like the young girl is being, I don't want to use the word used, but I think she's actually the victim in all of this because the person you are telling her to wish happy birthday has not accepted her as his daughter. In fact, he has blatantly rejected her. Now, you ask the little girl to come out and say, Daddy, happy birthday. Daddy, where are you? When are you coming to take me? And then you've groomed this little girl for years with the idea that this is my father. And the fact that the guy is a superstar makes it worse. Because if it's some unknown figure somewhere that you don't have to see, there's this idea, oh, my daddy is a superstar. My daddy is, this big person that the whole country knows. Even his name rings beyond Nigeria and all that. My daddy is rich. He has a lot of flashy cars and properties. Every child wants that, right? No matter how young. And then you already groomed this child to grow up with the idea that, yes, this is my father. My father is rich. My father is wealthy. He's Davido. And you even get to the point where you ask her to come out and make a video at such a tender age, wishing him happy birthday. Like, guys, just let me know what you think. How does this even make sense? As a mother myself, I just see this as very bad for this child's psyche, because they might not know the extent, especially if they give into this one more DNA test in the US and it comes back negative. Oh, it's going to be a psychological torture for this little girl. It's going to be beyond devastating, and she's going to grow up with it. I'm telling you the honest truth. There was even a point where they made another video where she came out. She was saying, she was talking about something about Chioma Adeleke, Davido's lover, or I don't know what she was saying, Like, it was like they were trying to make her glorify Chioma just so she can be acceptable in Davido's eyes. That was just what it looked like to me. Even when they say, oh, what's your favorite song? As little as she was, I'm telling you, she was not more than 6 in those videos. Say, my favorite song is If by Davido. And no, I don't think it's If. That was this song that, what was this song that David sang for Choma? I think it was Assurance. Yes. She said that was her favorite. So, they were trying to make it look like the girl loved Choma's personality, loved Choma as a person, because it would become like leverage and it will make her more acceptable in David's eyes, which is terrible for adults to put a child through. Because if for any reason one more DNA test in the US happens and it comes back negative, it's going to be devastating. And I even want that test to happen because I don't think the girl herself or her mother is going to be convinced if that DNA test does not happen. I just hope that the Adeleke family give in one more time, even though I don't think they will, because of course the father said they are considering suing her for all the damage she has done over the years. They are considering going the legal route to ensure that all this nonsense stops. But I just wish that somehow they actually give in to one more test, just one more test in the US. So they are doing this not just for the girl and her parents, they are doing this for Nigerians, they're doing it for all of us as a whole. Even me, in as much as, yes, we have seen the 5 DNA tests are out, the man has presented it, they're all negative. I still have that one thought in the back of my mind that says, what if? What if? And I'm sure I'm not the only one that has that thought running through my mind. I'm sure a lot of people have that thought, what if? And to put us all at rest, I just think they really need to do this one more DNA test. And not in Nigeria, in the US, where they believe things cannot be tampered with, where the process will be very clear and very transparent, so that they won't say, oh, maybe something was done, as she said that in the DNA test in Nigeria. But come to think of it, Seth, while I'm talking about this, something just struck my mind. Anu's mother said that no 5 DNA test was done. Mr. Adeleke presented the DNA test results. So it means that Anu's mother was not completely honest, because she says that the DNA test was done only once. Now, these are all allegations because, of course, we cannot say because it's Mr. Adeleke, then he's telling the truth 100%. We can't say, okay? So, but at the same time, I want to believe him because he's an honorable man. Why would he come out on social media and tell lies? But anyway, anything can happen. But still, if he says, okay, these are the DNA results, and Anu's mother said she only went for one DNA test, then there is a problem. So somebody is clearly lying. And if for 1 second I suspect that Anu's mother is lying, then I will know that she's out for something else. If for 1 second I even suspect that, yeah, she's lying, then this whole theory I've built simply collapses, because that means there is something else she's looking for that we are not yet aware of. But if maybe she's having memory issues, or so who do we even say is lying now? We can't categorically say anybody's lying because we don't want to defame anybody, but this whole issue is so messed up. David on his own end has never really rejected any child, for all his, young and his youthful exuberance and all the children popping out here and there. He hasn't really come out to reject outrightly multiple times, like for years, any child of his. For all, I've seen him show love, show care to all his children equally. So I don't know why this girl's case is different. Maybe because, I don't know, some people might want to say it's because of how the mom looks, but I don't think what she looks like or whatever she comes across as has anything to do with the child, because it's your child now. When you take your child and polish your child, besides, the girl is very beautiful. So I don't know. Just let me know your thoughts, guys, because I've exhausted myself at this point in trying to understand what is happening, what is going on. Is there more? Who are the people? That story on X, I keep referencing that story, that person that said they have some sort of relationship with those involved, Anu's mother, David, and they said Anu's mother should come out and tell the story the way it is, not the way that Kemi Oluluyo asked her to say it. These are not my words anyway. This is clearly gotten from X. Like, come out and see your story. If somebody is saying, come out and see your story, that already signals that there's something she's not telling us. And that something she's not telling us is preventing her from getting the truth that she needs. Because if what the person said is true, I've forgotten the handle, but I have a screenshot of that post on X. But if what that person says is true, then there is actually more to this story. There is more. And especially because of that club environment. You know how clubs can be sometimes. People can get carried away. People can get high. People can get drunk. People can do things that they don't even remember, or the memory becomes distorted. And especially if you've maybe fantasized about being with someone, and I don't know, and you're in that environment with them in close relations, and then something happens with another person, you begin to imagine, or your memory gets distorted, that is actually this my, this person I've fantasized being with. I don't know. These are just, random thoughts that are going through my mind, and these thoughts are based off of that has strong conviction, even to the point of going to the US. That woman is strongly convinced. There's nothing you want to tell me. She's seriously convinced that David is the father of her child. For her to mention US, willingness to go to US, other women who know that they are lying, at the mention of that, they begin to back down. Their tone, their language, everything begins to change. You begin to see slight withdrawal because they're beginning to sense danger, danger, danger. They begin to back off. But this person is moving forward with clear assurance. She's making demands. She's even bringing Nigerians into the situation. Nigerians come and add pressure. So we make sure this happens. For a person to be willing to go to that length, that means internally there is a strong conviction that this person is the father of my child. And yet the DNA tests are proving otherwise. So the only reasonable possibility is that something happened with someone else, that she's mistaken for someone else, and this has brought us to this situation where we are moving around and round between who is the father and who is not the father and stuff like that. But that's just about it. Guys, just let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this case? I just want to know if there are other people that have conflicting theories about this thing. People that have maybe a different perspective, because we are all humans. We all have our sense of reasoning. And somebody somewhere might actually have a better theory of why they think this situation, this complex situation, is the way it is. A woman convinced for 13 years that this is the father of my child, and 5 DNA tests that has been clearly shown that proves this is not the father of your child. What is happening in between this, occurrences, in between these two occurrences? What is happening? Because other women who are lying or who knew that they are with other men during that period, they would have long forgotten this issue after the first, second, third DNA test. They would have long forgotten the issue, go into hiding, in fact, get embarrassed by the whole situation. But this person is persistently coming back, asking for even US, an independent DNA test done on US soil. There's something more involved. It's either a psychological problem, it might be a psychological problem, or is a memory distortion. Memory was distorted along the line of meeting with someone else. You're mistaking that person for someone else, maybe because alcohol or other stuffs were involved that, altered your memory, altered your mind, your reasoning at the time that this was happening, to the point that you're so confused that you now genuinely believe that this person is the father of my child. So at this point, we have exhausted everything we had to say. I said maximum this life is going to be just 30 minutes because we have exhausted basically everything. And I just wanted to put this out because I want to hear the thoughts of others, their minds. What do you think is happening? Somebody somewhere might have a theory, somebody somewhere might have, you know, a solution somehow to this very confusing puzzle. Somebody might actually have that last setting that might fix everything that we are trying to fix and understand, even though basically all of it will remain theories, except the Adele case accepts that DNA test on US soil and it's done, and we say bye-bye to this whole issue, which I think they should even do, because it's not about saying you're going to sue her to court. There's already a section of Nigerians that believe that you guys are doing something behind the scenes. That's why all these tests are coming out negative. So to clear your name, to make everything more transparent, you just need to do that one last DNA test. The expenses does not matter. This is a very rich family. So do it just to clear your name, to give the girl the one last answer she's looking for, to maybe get the mother on the right path in terms of thoughts, thinking, going back. Who is the father? Who was I with at that period in time? Did anything more happen? You know, that's the only solution to all this whole puzzle. It's not about saying you're going to sue her. That's not going to do nothing. Because even though the girl might not come forward and say, oh, there will still be a section of Nigerians that will believe that this is Davido's child. Besides, her name on Instagram is Anu Adeleke, and on her bio, she wrote it clearly that she's Davido's eldest child. Hey, God, oh, there's a very serious problem. She's Davido's eldest child. Who's going to take that one away from her? Nothing you do. Even if you like, go to the whole court. You can't take that, that thing that has been ingrained in a child until you take that child along with you to the US and they see it. Yes, this is a country where they say corruption does not happen, even though we know that that's not always true. But just take that child there and let everything be transparent. Let it happen in the presence of the child and the mother, and maybe one or two people, maybe like reporters or journalists or, independent people. I think journalists or some sort of reporters also, they should be present. If possible, let the whole thing be done on camera. I know this is embarrassing for a big family like the Adele case, but yes, this is not just to clear your son's name, but also to give that little girl assurance that, yeah, this is not the father of your child. If truly they say those DNA tests are negative, they just need to do this. Get more people involved. Let the whole thing be open. Set camera, video how everything is done. Get independent reporters. Get the girl, get her mother, if her grandmother is still alive. Just bring everybody together. Let everybody see it for themselves that, yes, this time around, there will be no way that anybody will say that, oh, maybe something was done. Oh, stuff like that. Let everything be more open. Even though some people will still argue that, yes, they can still go and bribe those Americans at the back. But let's just believe that, those ones will not occur. Those ones, there's a lot of, ifs in this whole story. But I think that one last one they asked for should just be given to them. Let it just be given to them. Let them just have this one last one. Because I believe this woman is having psychological, if there's a psychological undertone. I don't want to, classify a problem with a person that I don't even know and end up maybe bordering into the line of defamation. But I think there is a psychological issue that might be involved that is causing this whole thing, and they really need to. And even when the DNA test comes back negative, if they decide to go for the one in the US, I still think maybe some financial upliftment, set them up and give her a business she can use to care for her child. I know you shouldn't reward stuff like this, but for a person whose own problem was not that she wanted to outrightly lie, but that maybe there was a mistaken identity that happened or distortion of memory that happened, and You see that maybe the fact that they are not financially stable also keeps taking them back to the point where they are saying, okay, where is the father? He needs to step in. You can financially empower her, get the child maybe a scholarship, and just help them. It's all about helping one another. So just help them, even if it's negative, help them, set them up. It puts you in a good light anyways, and it also helps the family no matter what has happened. Well, what if it turns out positive? Let me know your thoughts, guys. What if it ends up coming out negative, where they do it in the US and it ends up being positive? Sorry. Even though I'm doubting that now, but what if it's positive, Seth? What will happen? There'll be helele. There'll be a lot of helele on this social media space. Wonders and miracles will happen at that point if it ends up being positive. Even though I doubt that, but guys, I will be leaving this life for now. Time. I just want you guys to let me know what you think. And thanks to everyone that joined this live. It made it more memorable. Somebody asked, my next ex asked, who is it you're speaking about? Okay, we're talking about Davido and his alleged daughter Anu. We are talking about this whole thing because Davido's father came out. A lot of people, when Davido said he had done 5 DNA tests that came back negative, a lot of people doubted that. Anu's mother also came out and said it was only 1 DNA test that was done. So obviously people started demanding for the DNA tests. So Davido's father came out. He made he made a press statement about that. He talked about everything that went down, but basically he presented the DNA tests that have been done from reputable facilities, the ones that catered for Imade, the ones that catered for Ifani, and all that. And the DNA test came back negative from those reputable facilities. So it kind of got everybody talking again about this issue. So who is lying here? Who is not lying? And here, since this is a psychology-based channel, we decided to look at another angle that a lot of people are not looking at. We started asking some critical questions. I can't go back to all that. You might just go back to this live and listen to it, and you'll see everything we have been talking about so far. So far, we are trying to understand what is happening. Besides the obvious that we are seeing, we cannot categorically say that one person is lying because the truth has not been fully established based on Anu's mother's demands. Because based on the DNA test and what Mr. Adeleke provided, the truth has been brought forward, and this is supposed to end the conversation. But Anu's mother is suggesting that some things happened behind the scenes that we are not aware of that caused those DNA tests to come back negative. So she's demanding for an independent DNA test in the US to prove that truly Anu is Davido's child. So until that one comes forward, she will not be convinced, and a section of Nigerians will still not be convinced. So that's what we're talking about now. So based on everything that's happened, we're trying to look at what might have happened behind the scenes. Just go back to the life and you understand everything we've been trying to establish. So I'm gonna be ending this live now. Thank you so much, guys, for joining, and don't forget to let me know your thoughts in the comments about what you think is going on. And basically, that's just it. Good night, guys.